so much, Dayna, for joining me all the way in the United States. So this is the power of the internet, right? We're able to collaborate and chat about amazing things. And today we're here with the week 2 of Love Thy Body Project's interview sessions. And we're going to be talking about self-acceptance, or the lack of self-acceptance maybe that some of us have. So we connected via the internet, and you were straight away, you were like, yes, let's talk. I can talk about self-acceptance. I can tell you my story. So do you want to just introduce yourself and to everybody, to the audience, and tell us a little bit about why you feel very strongly about self-acceptance?
Absolutely. Oh, am I echoing?
No,
okay.
You're fine.
Okay. So for me, this is a very, very high priority topic, because this is something that I honestly didn't know I struggled with until I had my daughter. So I have a daughter that's 10 years old. And as she was growing, especially my biggest thing was with my hair. So my whole life, I've always straightened my hair. Growing up, we used to go to hair salons. So I never learned how to do my own hair. I didn't even know what my real hair looked like. And then when I got older, I have a sister that's 2 years older than me, and she is a hairstylist. I'm an esthetician by trade. She's a hairstylist. So again, we were always in the beauty industry. So she would do my hair, I would do her aesthetics and things like that. And so I still didn't realize that I had an issue with who I was. And so as my daughter started getting older, I would do her hair, and I didn't straighten her hair. So I would braid it up. I would leave it in puffs. I'm like, oh, your hair's so cute. I love it, And as she got older, she's like, well, mommy, I can't wait till I get older when I can straighten my hair like yours. And that cut me in my heart, because I'm like, well, why do you feel like you need to straighten it? And she's like, well, you straighten yours all the time. Your hair is not curly. So my daughter didn't even realize that my hair was her hair. Because I had lived under this mask for so long that I didn't realize that it was shielding me from accepting who I was and accepting my appearance. And so I made a point at that moment to say, you know what? No longer straightening my hair. I'm going to figure out what my hair looks like. I'm going to figure out how to do it and manage it. And it was a journey, you know what I mean? Because even for years and years and years of being straightened, your hair doesn't just go right back. You have to train it. It's a learning curve. So it was very challenging. And I remember having moments, even being out and about, because at the time I was still practicing as an esthetician, and I was working in a lot of high-end spas. And I remember going in, and I remember clients being like, what's wrong with your hair? Because even for them, they're like, I've never seen you look like that. And so it did a lot to my self-esteem. It did a lot to the fact that, oh my goodness, I have to really work internally, because this is just an outward appearance, right? This means nothing for real. But the reality is I was burying deep things in myself that I didn't realize. I can love myself. I can accept myself really for who I was. So that's really where my journey started, and why I got so passionate about it, because I'm like, if other women are like me, they might need this too. And so I became very vocal, speaking my story, and vocal about love yourself, affirmations and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think my story, it's a similar way of why I started, and that was because of my daughter. She's just turned 18. I've got 5 children, but she's my eldest daughter. And then I've got an older son, but it didn't seem to bother him so much. But my own self-doubt and my own negativity that I was bringing on myself, my own hatred for my body, I started to notice that she was picking up as a toddler on little things that I might say and do. And it was just a real boom in the face, okay, this is not right. My child cannot be going through this. I won't accept that. But I realized that actually it was me that had to do the work. I had to change who I was, or not who I was, because who I was perfectly well, but who I thought I was, or how I was seeing myself, because it wasn't the true image that was being portrayed. And I needed to let myself shine out. and not worry about all of the negativity or the self-hatred or the comments that I might get from people for just being who I was. And that as well was a really long journey, and why I'm so passionate about speaking out about self-acceptance, body confidence, sexual empowerment, and all that kind of stuff. Because we, as women, we juggle a lot of balls, especially with you know, as we're mums, we've got children, we've got careers, we've got partners, we've got homes, and we're juggling constantly. But we're also a lot more negative on ourselves than what I feel men are. I feel men seem to, like, my husband will get out of bed and he'll get dressed and whatever, and he does have a play around with his hair. He'll like tidy it up, and if a bit sticks up, he gets a bit annoyed with a little bit sticking up or whatever, but then that's him done. And he's not bothered about what anybody else thinks of him as such. But with us as women, it's a whole another ball game, right? Like, we're trying to impress, but who are we impressing? Because it's just putting all of this pressure on us, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll just add to that, because it's interesting, because I remember one day like getting ready and, you know, doing all of the things or whatnot. And I had put no makeup on, and my husband was watching me, because of course he's waiting on me to get ready. And he's like, "You're so beautiful." And like, he just kept saying, "You're so beautiful. You're so beautiful." And I finished putting on my makeup, and then we're driving. And at some point he looks over at me and he's like, "You know, you women put on makeup for other women. Do you realize that, like, to me, you, just the way you are, is beautiful." And you get so conscious about, oh, I have to make sure I have makeup on, and I have to do this and I have to do that. But he's like, most of us men, we don't know the difference whether you have your eyebrows penciled in or not penciled in. Like, I legit think you're beautiful the way you are. And I really think you guys do that for other women. And I had to stop and think about that, because it's true. Like, and sometimes, even if it's not for other women, it's what we think other women, or what we think other people are viewing us as. And most of the time they're not. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
They're not looking at it.
They're probably too engrossed in what they feel like and what they look like to be worrying about us. But
Right.
yeah, I think social media and you know, the beauty standards and stuff have quite a lot to kind of speak for, because I feel that the pressures that we get from this aesthetically pleasing look that they plaster everywhere has, like, kind of, when you're little, you kind of start to believe, right, this lady is on TV, this lady
Yes.
looks a certain way, or this lady looks a certain way, this is how I'm supposed to look. And then you start to look at yourself and think, well, actually, I don't quite look like that. I'm not fitting into that box, and maybe there's something wrong with me. And if you've got a parent like I was, who's self-hating and talking down on themselves as well, you've got that pressure. My mum is saying she's not right, the TV's saying I should look like this. And so I feel it's really important that we do just embrace who we are and be happy in the skin we're in, because the younger generations need to know they are perfect. Do you feel
Yes.
that they have a lot to answer to with the images that they portray?
Absolutely. I definitely do. I feel like, and it's interesting too. So from my perspective, and I don't know how it is over there, but like here in the US, you know, especially for me, not being able to see myself. And what I mean by that is, again, like, you have this certain image of what people look like. And even if there's a person of color like myself, again, her hair is going to be straight, or it's going to have weave, or it's going to be long down her back. You know, like, there's going to be some type of illusion. And even to the point that, like, I've seen movies where it's like, you know, someone that looks like me gets in the water and then they come up and their hair is still straight. And I'm like, yeah, that's not what my hair does.
Definitely not. Even my hair, my dad, I have, it's not looking at it at the moment, but I have a curl to my hair. So if I just like get out of the bath and let my hair dry naturally, it will just like fizz out, and just be like a fizz. So I do have to do stuff to my hair to get it not being like fizzy. But it's not something that I'm too worried about. If I'm in a rush, I will just pop it up and leave it. And then when I take it out, it just doesn't move, because it's just fizzed like in a ball here. But then I've got time to sort it out at home. I try not to straighten my hair too much because it's damaging, but I do quite like it looking straight. And I think when you can be who you are naturally, I mean, if you can go out being your natural self and feel comfortable in that skin, then to change yourself up every now and then is
Yeah.
perfectly fine, right?
Yeah.
But when these
Yeah.
images are portraying this is what you look like, this is what you should look like on a constant like cycle,
Yeah.
it's really damaging to our self-esteem.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And my thing too, I just want to clarify when I say like the weaves and the straightening of the hair, I'm not against, you know, having your hair straight. I'm not against like having weaves, but is it you want the weave or you want the straight hair because like you're saying you want to cover up who you are, right?
Yeah.
Because you're ashamed of what certain things might look like or how people will view you or so another thing that I'll just kind of say here in this country, like it was a time, it was a bill that just got passed last year where there was a time if you had like dreadlocks, like an employer could deny you work because they didn't
Okay.
believe that that looked professional, right?
Yeah.
And so again, the media, the society, that's what it's perpetuating because you're not seeing professionals in a certain position in the media that have dreadlocks or have braids in their hair or look a certain way. And so again, that can trickle into just regular society. So even the person that's like, oh, I don't want to give that person a job, it might not be a judgmental thing. It just might be that was what they saw too. They're like, well, that's not professional. It's not well kept, you know, or whatnot. So again, like I think it goes back to that self-acceptance, right? Like, so if you feel beautiful in a certain place, then that's where you should be. And whether I agree with it or you agree with it, it shouldn't matter because that's how you feel beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. And like with our schools here, I don't know if it's the same. I know that I think in America you get to wear your own clothes at school, don't you? Whereas here in England we have a uniform that we have to wear so that people know which school we go to, and we kind of are in uniform that way. However, we weren't allowed to wear any makeup or have our hair in a certain way. If we were girls, up until a certain age, it had to be put back. And you couldn't have it down, or it would be preferred to be put back. And if you were boys, if you had hair longer than here, you would be told you had to have it cut off, or it wasn't acceptable. But yet at the same time they then preach that you should be who you are, you're an individual person and you should let your personality shine. But when they're stopping you from, and they're trying to conform you into this uniform type, like it's just like, what are you trying to say? This is confusing. One minute you're telling us to be ourselves, and the next minute you're telling us we can't wear this, we can't do this because it's not acceptable for the uniform that you're telling us to wear. So I don't know if you had that in school. Like literally when we leave school, I don't know if you ever noticed, like all of the youngsters, they dye their hair a funny color and that, because they're like, yes, now I can do what I want to do because I'm not in school anymore, and I can be me. But yeah, did you have that in school?
So here, it just depends on where you live. It's not necessarily like a mandate. So I homeschool my kids.
So do I.
um, and but my daughter, she did go to preschool, kindergarten, first grade, and second grade. And she went to a charter school. It would be called a charter school here, not a regular public school. The public schools, generally they can wear whatever they want to. The charter school, she had a uniform. She did have specifically what she had to wear. They didn't mandate too much when it came to like hair or not wearing makeup or things like that. I mean, she's little, so I don't think it was as much of a deal when she was in school. I'm not really sure how it looks in the older grades, but they were mandated to wear uniforms. I think though, one of like, for me, reasonings behind my want for homeschooling was because I wanted my kids to have their own individuality. I wanted them not to be too bombarded with the ideas of what it should look like. I kind of posture even the way I homeschool very similar to more of an unschooling approach. I allow them to lead their education. and I just guide them, you know, and I just
Yeah.
give them resources in order to be able to do those things. Because and I'll say this, I feel like my husband, he's a creative and he's an artist. Like, he's a musician, he can sing, like he has a lot of great talents. But I feel like society told him, you're a man, you have to provide, and the only way to provide, it looks like this. And so he, you know, he does his art at home and stuff, like just as a hobby. But I'm like, who told you you couldn't make a career out of this, right?
Yeah.
Who told, like, this is who you are. You know, when he goes away from work, that's not who you are. So for me, I wanted to teach my children a little something different. I wanted them to know, whatever your dreams are, like, you can monetize anything. Like, I'm not even worried about how you get the money and pay the bills. Like, what are your dreams? Let's
Yeah.
guide you into that and see what the road looks like to be successful in that arena.
Yeah, absolutely. I homeschool as well. I've got 3 of them that are being homeschooled at the moment. My 2 elder ones did go to school and finished in school, but the other 3 have been homeschooled. And we have our moments where they don't want to listen to, you know, they need to do some kind of form of work, but we do try to let them lead as well, for like go with their passions. And so my daughter is 11. So she would be going into what is called secondary school. I'm not sure what that's called in America, but it's basically she's going up to the seniors,
Yeah.
and or she would have been if she was in school. And so now I feel she really needs to decide, okay, where would I like to go? Would I like, she loves coding and doing things like that and computer gaming. So does she want to have a dabble in that? Because I think for the next couple of years, it's really good for her to dabble in what it is that she really thinks that she's going to enjoy, because then by the time it comes to doing the real work, she will kind of have a knowledge of what it is that she likes. So she's choosing at the moment which subjects she'd like to have a little dabble in. So she's actually chosen to play the guitar and things like that. And I feel that that's, you know, that's something that's, musicians are amazing, right? It's nothing to look down on. My son went to college and he did music and he was amazing at it. So I want them to, the same as you, I want them to go for their purpose, their passions. And because when you're aligned with what you're doing, and you have that self-acceptance of yourself, the world's your oyster. You can do whatever you want. You can be, and you can achieve. And when you're happy in yourself, that's when all that abundance and the law of attraction starts to come into play, right?
Yep. Yeah, I totally agree. You start attracting because you're in a happy place. And I think that's so important, because that's not something we're taught in school. You know, we're
No.
not taught that, like, living your purpose and then the people will come to you. Like, it seems like kind of contrary, but that really is how, and even for myself and my journey, with my business and things, it wasn't until I let go of worrying too much about how am I going to make the money? Where's the numbers? This, you know, and that and the other, and just being like, you know what, I am me. And the people that want to be like in my arena and work with me, they're going to be drawn to me. And so I think that's super important to, you know, really instill in people that, you know, because you start loving on yourself, because you start accepting yourself, the right people that accept and love you too are going to come into your aura and your arena, you know what I mean? Whereas before, unfortunately, when you were a facade, the people that were attracted to you, they might be toxic for you. They might not be the people that are going to help you grow.
I agree. I absolutely agree. In my group, I'm always talking about like the law of attraction, your gratitude, and that flow of energy. So you give and you receive, and you give and you receive, but it's got to be a flow. You can't just take, and be like, okay, so I'm gonna, because that's just not how the energy is gonna work. But when you're on that high vibration, you're attracting that high vibration back, right? So it's all going to be good. I'm loving that you love all the woo as well. It's just something that's, you know, when you really look at it and you really start to think, it's just like, it's just amazing. I can't even put into words or describe it, but it's so aligned. It's just,
Yeah.
the alignment is real. If you can get to that place and you can understand, And I think that's why we're always happy, right? And always smiley, because we know, even when something bad happens, we know that we can get out the other end with a bit of gratitude, and it's going to be perfect, because we're looking for the good in everything. And that comes with self-acceptance, because you cannot get there until you can accept and love who you are as well.
Absolutely.
I'm so happy you come and chatted with me today. Thank you so much for taking time out. I don't even know what time is it your end?
So it's 8:25 right now.
In the morning?
Yep.
Oh, blimey. Oh, bless you. You really did get up early. So you work out in the morning?
I do. And actually, the funny thing is, so my kids are still asleep right now. And so that's why I knew that this would be a perfect time, because I would have finished my workout. I can like this will be my time. I'm having my tea and I'm just like a little quiet before they kind of wake up. So when you suggested this time, I'm like, perfect. That's like,
Oh,
and again, that goes back to alignment, because I'm like, this is supposed to happen because everything is aligning exactly the way.
Exactly. And it's been lovely. It has been absolutely a pleasure to have you on here, and I'm sure that we will connect and chat and do lots of stuff together, I think, because I think we are homeschooling and everything. Look how aligned we are.
Right.
So I'm going to say goodbye and thank you so much, and we will see you next week with another episode. So bye.
Bye.